The Galactic Archaeological Academy's vault stretched 3 kilometers beneath the crystalline surface of Archeon Prime. Stella walked beside her partner Cameron through corridors lined with transparasteel cases, each containing artifacts from civilizations that had risen and fallen long before humanity had discovered fire. Section 7 Alpha, Cameron read from his datapad, his antennae twitching with excitement. The Vexillian had been Stella's research partner for 2 standard years now, and she'd learned to read his species' tells. Right now, he was nervous. The restricted collection. Stella raised an eyebrow. Restricted? Since when do we get restricted access? Since Professor Thane personally requested our presence. Cameron's mandibles clicked, definitely nervous. He wouldn't say why. Just that it concerned your dissertation on pre-contact Earth symbolism. They passed through 3 security checkpoints, each requiring biometric scans and clearance codes Stella didn't even know she possessed. The final door opened with a pneumatic hiss, revealing a small chamber where Professor Thane waited, his 6 eyes gleaming in the dim light. "Ah, Stella. Cameron." The ancient Calorian gestured with one of his 4 arms. "Thank you for coming so quickly. I believe we've made a discovery that will complicate your research considerably." The chamber contained a single pedestal, and atop it sat an object that made Stella's breath catch in her throat. It was a shield, or rather what remained of one. The metal was unlike anything she'd seen, dark and scored with age, yet still maintaining a structural integrity that defied explanation. But it wasn't the shield itself that froze her in place. It was the emblem embossed upon its surface. A dragon, wings spread, clutching a sword and a star. Beneath it, barely visible through the corrosion of uncounted millennia, were symbols that made her hand instinctively reach for the pendant hidden beneath her shirt. "That's..." Stella's voice failed her. She pulled out the pendant, a family heirloom passed down through 47 generations. "That's my family crest." Cameron's antennae shot straight up. "Impossible. That artifact predates humanity's space age by at least 12,000 standard years. We carbon dated it last week. 15,322 years to be precise," Professor Thane corrected gently. "It was recovered from the Ashkor Nebula in a debris field that our best analysts confirm belonged to a civilization we've designated the progenitors. They disappeared without a trace approximately 15 millennia ago." Stella circled the pedestal slowly, her scientific training warring with the impossible reality before her eyes. The dragon's design was identical. The same curve of wing, the same position of the sword, even the 5-pointed star clutched in its left claw. But that was absurd. Her family's records only traced back to medieval Earth, to a minor noble house in what was once called Scotland. "There must be an explanation," she said, though her voice lacked conviction. "Convergent design, cultural parallel evolution. We've seen similar symbols emerge independently across dozens of species." "We considered that," Professor Thane said, "until we decoded the text beneath the emblem." He manipulated a holographic display, and ancient script materialized in the air above the shield. Beside it, a translation slowly formed. "From distant stars we came, bearing the fire of old Earth. Through darkness and time, our bloodline shall endure. The dragon guards the flame eternal." The room spun. Stella gripped the pedestal for support. "Old Earth," Cameron whispered. "They called it Old Earth, 15,000 years ago." "There's more," Professor Thane continued, pulling up astronomical data. "We've been analyzing the progenitor sites across known space, their technological signatures, their expansion patterns, their genetic markers from recovered biological samples. Stella, they were human. Or rather, they were human ancestors who somehow achieved interstellar capability thousands of years before recorded history suggests possible." Stella's mind raced through implications like a quantum computer processing infinite possibilities. The progenitors were the first species to achieve faster-than-light travel. They seeded technology across dozens of systems. They built the Archeon gates that we still use today. They were us, Cameron finished quietly. Humanity didn't discover the stars. Humanity returned to them. But what happened? Stella demanded. If humans built an empire that spanned the galaxy, how did we forget? How did we regress back to primitive civilization? Professor Thane's eyes dimmed with something like sorrow. We're still investigating, but the progenitor sites all show signs of sudden abandonment, as if they simply vanished overnight. Some force caused them to flee or fall or... He gestured helplessly. We don't know, but a small number apparently made it back to Earth, bringing with them only fragments, stories, symbols, perhaps a few technological trinkets that degraded over generations into myth and legend. Stella looked down at her pendant, seeing it with new eyes. A dragon guarding a flame. A family that had kept this symbol alive for not 47 generations, but perhaps for 15,000 years. Her family hadn't created this crest. They had preserved it, carried it through the long, dark ages when humanity forgot it had once touched the stars. The other species, she said slowly. The ones who teach us about the galaxy, who act like they're introducing children to the adult world. They know, don't they? Cameron shifted uncomfortably. Some of them suspect. The timing of humanity's sudden technological advancement always seemed improbable, as if you were remembering rather than discovering. The Galactic Council has been investigating for decades, Professor Thane admitted. When humanity returned to space, many of us felt a strange sense of déjà vu. Old structures that should have been alien to you somehow felt familiar to human engineers. The Archeon gates responded to human touch in ways they don't for other species. Stella stared at the shield, at her family's crest emblazoned on metal forged in the furnaces of a forgotten empire. Humanity, the youngest species in the Galactic Council. Humanity, the eager students learning to navigate the cosmos. Humanity, who had built these very stars into an empire before the current galactic powers had even discovered agriculture. What do we do with this information? She asked. Professor Thane's expression was unreadable. That, Stella Draken, and yes, we've traced your surname back through every record we could find, is a question for minds wiser than mine. But I suspect your people will want to know. The galaxy will want to know. And somewhere out there, perhaps, are answers to what happened to the first human empire, and why. Stella touched the ancient shield, feeling the weight of millennia beneath her fingertips. Then I guess we'd better find those answers. Cameron's antennae straightened with determination. Where do we start? She smiled. The smile of someone who had just realized her entire species' history was a lie, or rather an incomplete truth waiting to be rediscovered. We start by finding the rest of my family's legacy. And then we find out what our ancestors were running from. The dragon on the shield seemed to gleam in the chamber's light, wings spread eternal, guarding a flame that had never truly died, only slumbered, waiting for humanity to remember it had once ruled the stars. End.